Do you have a feeling that your photos are lacking impact? Well, there might be something that you're doing wrong, and that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. A lot of photographers make this single mistake. They might set everything up perfectly on set. They might get the model styled perfectly, the lighting nailed, and even the pose. And then they just raise the camera to their eye and press the shutter. They don't even think about all of the elements in their shot, and that is composition. In today's video, we're going to talk about the rule of thirds, Fibonacci sequences, the golden triangle, S-curves, and more. But before we get to all of that, it all starts with one decision, and that is camera height. During a recent workshop in Los Angeles, I shot these images for you so that you can see what a difference camera height makes. In this full body portrait, you could choose to shoot it at your standing height. That'll make the subject look less powerful. But if you use a low angle, you'll make them look a lot more heroic. And that's what I do all of the time when I'm shooting my full body portraits. I try to be down there around knee level, give or take. Usually it's as low as I can go on the camera stand that I use in my studio. You could think of it a different way though. The higher you are, the more impact the floor is going to have on your image. The lower you are, the more slim and less impact that floor has as well. So you can affect both the heroic nature of the subject or the size of the floor by raising your camera or lowering your camera, but I think it's best on full body portraits to stay lower to make that subject look more heroic. Now, when it comes to 3/4 length portraits, many people say that you should shoot those at waist level, and that will make the person have more impact as well in the frame, but you can see what happens here when you shoot it at different heights. When it comes to most headshots, the rule of thumb is usually to have the camera positioned around chest level or a little higher. That way the camera's angle is neutral or pointed up a little bit, also giving the subject a little more power. However, if your subject is a little bit overweight, having the camera above them, looking down on them, will make the things that are further away from the camera appear smaller, which could be their body. It will also elongate their neck and give more definition to their jaw. So you might change your camera height based on your subject's body, but for the most part, you'll probably stay lower in order to make them look a little more heroic. When you're photographing women though, having that camera height being a little higher may be a aesthetic choice as well. When photographing children, being at a very high level, looking down on them can make them look childlike, but being down at their level has a certain impact to it as well. Now let's talk about the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds just divides your frame into 3 sections left to right and 3 sections top to bottom. It's normally believed that placing your subject at an intersection of one of these 2 lines will result in really pleasing composition. In this example with Dyron, his eyes sit at the intersection of the top and left third lines, a classic rule of thirds placement that draws immediate attention. In this image, props like the ladder and the antique Mole Richardson Fresnels act as compositional anchors. Their vertical height balances the seated subject, preventing the frame from feeling bottom heavy. Notice also how Dyron's head falls near a rule of thirds intersection. Let's go a little deeper. Beyond the rule of thirds, there's the golden ratio, sometimes called the golden spiral. It's that 1 to 1.6 proportion you see everywhere in nature. It's in shells, flowers, even galaxies. In photography, we visualize it as a spiral that curves towards your subject. If you place your subject's eye or another key detail near the core of that spiral, the viewer's gaze naturally follows that curve right into your image. Unlike the grid of thirds, which feels stable and static, the spiral feels fluid, and it works especially well when the subject or the set already has natural curves that echo that shape. If you feel like you're getting a lot of value out of this video, then you might also appreciate reading my new book, The Photographer's Journey. And in The Photographer's Journey, I go over several lessons like this one so that you can learn how to go from selecting a camera to figuring out how to set it up, learning the fundamentals of lighting, working up to multiple lights and gels. Then we'll go over color theory and post-production. This digital download is over 250 pages and nearly 60,000 words, and you can download your copy today at johngress.com/downloads for only $99. Another tool is the golden triangle. Imagine drawing a diagonal across the frame, then dropping perpendiculars from the corners. You end up with 4 triangles. If you place your subject or a line along those diagonals, say a dancer's arm, the tilt of a jaw, or a ladder leaning in the frame, the image feels more dynamic and full of energy and direction. In this example with Pierre, the rooftop line and the street makes the diagonal from the lower right-hand corner to the top left-hand corner. Then the tilt of his neck forms one of the diagonals and his right leg forms the other. In this example, Jasmine is surrounded by trunks, furs, and a frame. Each prop acts as an anchor, balancing texture and geometry while amplifying her presence in the frame. Her body creates the main diagonal of a golden triangle, while the fur and the empty frame echo secondary diagonals. Then there's the rule of odds. Groups of 3 or 5 almost feel more natural and interesting than even numbers. 3 people in a portrait feels balanced but varied. 3 props in a scene create rhythm. 5 feels richer than 4. Odd numbers just keep the eye moving throughout the frame. And we can't forget about leading lines, S-curves, and symmetry. A winding road, a staircase rail, or a curve of a gown, all of those can guide the eye. Leading lines are one of the simplest but strongest compositional tools. They give direction and flow, telling the viewer where to look first and where to go next. Diagonals in general add energy. A vertical or horizontal line feels stable and still. But tilt that line and suddenly the frame has movement. That's why diagonals feel dynamic. They imply motion even in a frozen image. S-curves are especially beautiful because they slow the eye down. Think of a river or the curve of a model's arm. They feel graceful, organic, and human. In this example of an S-curve, her left arm leads into the tilt of her head, sweeps through the arch of her waist, and continues down to her extended leg. The fluid motion carries the gaze in waves from the top to the bottom, contrasting the organic curve of the body with the rigid geometry of the cart and the handle. Symmetry, on the other hand, creates an entirely different mood. Perfect symmetry, a centered face, a reflection in water, a building straight on, feels normal and authoritative. Asymmetry feels alive and dynamic, like one figure balanced against an open space, a subject leaning forward with one arm on their knee and the other arm back. It feels far more dynamic. Both of these are useful. The real question is, does the story you're telling need stability and calm or tension and movement? This portrait of David is a great example of symmetry. His gaze, shoulders, and balanced lighting creates a stable, mirrored composition. When you start layering tools like diagonals, spirals, curves, and symmetry, you're not memorizing rules, you're training your eye. You learn to feel whether an image is balanced or off, and when it is off, you know what to do. You know what to adjust. Light itself is one of the strongest compositional tools. The eye almost always goes first to the brightest area of the frame, which is why we work usually to keep the subject's face brighter than the rest of the shot. And shadows aren't just empty space, they can create triangles, diagonals, even S-curves that sculpt the image. Gradients of light can guide the viewer's eye across the frame. I usually use a radial gradient on my images surrounding the subject's face so that the rest of the image is subtly darker, and that causes the eye to go towards the subject. Whether your photo is high key and airy or low key and dynamic, the balance of light organizes the entire scene. At the end of the day, composition is storytelling. A centered frame communicates stability and authority, push someone to the side, and create tension or anticipation. Color can create emphasis, scale can make someone look monumental or small, repetition adds rhythm. If an image feels flat, ask where is the emphasis. If it feels chaotic, ask where is the unity. If it feels static, where is the movement? That's really what composition comes down to. It's both the diagnosis and the cure. And remember, composition isn't just about where you place your subject. It starts with where you place the camera. Camera height sets the tone, shaping how powerful or delicate your subject looks. Once you've made that choice, you can layer in tools like the rule of thirds, the golden spiral, the golden triangle, symmetry, or S-curves to guide the viewer's eye and make your portraits feel intentional. And really, that's what it's all about, making portraits with intention. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and sign up for the bell. And if you want to take your learning even further, check out this video up here, where I shoot portraits with every lens from 35mm to 135mm, so that you can see exactly how each focal length changes the way your subject's face looks in the studio. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.